Welcome into another bonus episode of Hockey Inside Out. Rafaël Harvey-Pinard, what is behind his offensive prowess and what he's done so far? 6 goals, a couple of assists. He's done very well since his call from Laval. Can he continue on with his success that he's done in the small sample size with the Montreal Canadiens guys?
Well, his nickname with the Rocket was laval-rocket because he plays just like Brendan Gallagher, and that's what he is. He's a younger, healthier version of Brendan Gallagher. He not afraid, not a biggest guy, not afraid to go to the dirty areas. I think he has better offensive skills than Gallagher when he gets a chance. He has a better shot. Most of Brendan's goals travel 2 feet maybe, while he's getting knocked on his butt in the crease and banging in the rebound. But he has that Gallagher in him. As you watch him, his feet are always moving. He never stops skating. He never stops working. One of those weekend games, late in the game, the Habs are up big, and he's still blocking shots. This is an unexpected opportunity he got just to play for the Canadiens, never mind to be on the number 1 line with Josh Anderson and Nick Suzuki. And he's making the most of it. And he's just working every time he's on the ice, living his dream. And he's worked so well that normally when guys get called up from Laval like him, they play on the 4th line, right? They don't get to play with offensively skilled players, which can make it difficult for a guy who has some offensive skill like he does. But he's getting not only a chance to play, but to play on that number 1 line. He hasn't looked out of place at all. He works hard. He has some chemistry with Nick Suzuki, and I think he's done enough. I mean, the fact they didn't send him back to Laval during the All-Star break, they kept him. They told him to take the vacation and enjoy the time off. He went back to visit his family. You can imagine what that scene must have been like with him now playing in the NHL, but he's beaten the odds. It's a really good story, and I think he's done enough that heading into next season, he might have a spot on this team. And it might be on the 4th line, but he's going to be a 4th line guy who works like Brendan Gallagher, and when he gets a chance to score, he can score. So it's good for him. Good. It's nice to see a guy make the most of an opportunity when he gets it.
Exactly. There's another guy that's taken full advantage of his chance to play, and he works every shift, every game. He's doing everything he can possibly do to stay in the lineup. Playing with a Nick Suzuki is not really a bad thing too when it comes down to trying to create some stuff for him. But the bottom line in all of this is the kid is hungry, he's desperate, and he wants to stay a Montreal Canadien. And, if you look at what he does each and every game, each and every shift, he's doing a lot of really good things. And obviously they're happy with him to the point where they're giving him lots of ice time and using him in different situations. And he's getting the results. And he is a guy that will crash the net. He's a guy that's not afraid. He's not intimidated. And he goes to those areas that are going to allow him to have chances to score. And he's hungry. And just a great story, again, with a guy like this that's taking advantage of each and every opportunity he has to play in the NHL.
Yeah, like you guys have mentioned, he's hungry. He goes to the right spaces on the ice. He thinks the game really well, especially in the offensive zone. You can see him going to spots where he knows the puck is going to go. I think that chemistry with Suzuki has a lot to do with that, where he sees where Suzuki is looking, and he's like, well, I'll just put my stick right there. Then Suzuki can find him through the middle of the ice. We know Suzuki can thread those passes. So it's worked out really well. I would be surprised at this point obviously the Canadiens aren't going to expect Harvey-Pinard to score at this rate going forward. He's scoring on 31.6% of his shots so far. That's not sustainable. But if he can sustain half that going forward through the rest of the season, I'd be kind of shocked if he doesn't get a chance with Caulfield and Suzuki to start next year on that line. I talked to a friend of mine who works for the Maple Leafs, and he was asking before Harvey-Pinard got called up when the Canadiens were going to call him up because he was too good for the AHL. And he was saying, like, this guy has a similar career arc or potential as the Leafs' Michael Bunting. The same kind of player. He just goes to the gritty areas. He can kind of annoy the opposing teams, and he's got some scoring touch to tip in shots or get in the way, bang home rebounds, finish off plays. So to have a guy like that who could be more of your grit energy guy on a line with your 2 high skill guys in Caulfield and Suzuki is an interesting thing. It would be a small line, but luckily the Canadiens have Kirby Dach on their second line to offer a different kind of look.
Well, former Rocket coach Joel Bouchard was on one of the French networks recently, and he was saying that he kept telling Marc Bergevin, you got to call up Harvey-Pinard. Like, you got to give this kid a chance. He's going to give you everything he has every time he's on the ice, and we've seen that. And when Cole Caulfield's season came to an end because of his shoulder injury, Marty St. Louis said not only were they going to have to replace the goals that Caulfield scores, they were going to have to replace his enthusiasm. And Harvey-Pinard's done both of those things. He scored goals, and he's an enthusiastic kid. You see the smile every time he scores. He's living his dream. He's given a boost to the locker room. Nick Suzuki said that both Harvey-Pinard and Alex Belzil, since they've come up from Laval, give the room a boost to see two guys getting a chance and making the most of it. So he's been real effective since he came up, and for his sake and for the Canadiens' sake, hopefully he can keep it up for the rest of the season. He's making the most of his chance, and as I mentioned earlier, it's a really good story right now.
Well, this team's been full of great stories here, and for Harvey-Pinard, we spoke about him a couple weeks ago. We all believe he will be, as Stu mentioned before, on the day one lineup for the Montreal Canadiens, whoever they face in early October of the new regular season. Is there any knock on him, though? If there is something to look at, that we praised him all that, but is there any knock on him that you're going to say, you know what, he's got to improve this if he's going to maintain his status with the Montreal Canadiens guys?
I think with a player like him, you have to just take the good with the good, right? And not to worry too much about it, because he's not going to be a guy that you expect to run a line, right? Couldn't he be a little bit more defensively aware? Sure, but he's still out there blocking shots like crazy in a 6-2 win, right? He's out there in the third period blocking shots he doesn't really need to do. So that enthusiasm will carry him through a lot of it. But I think the main thing to make sure that you do is adjust your expectations. You can't expect him to score 6 goals every 8 games. It's not going to happen. If he can score 20 to 22 next year, that's still a good season for Rafaël Harvey-Pinard.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy, but he's not going to grow. So that's not going to happen. But I mean, just keep doing what he's doing. Just keep bringing that intensity and that enthusiasm, and bury your chances when they get them. That's, look at his strengths, and there's a lot of strengths for a guy who was a 7th round pick.
And let's face it, he's a
I'll
young
say
guy.
this, bring up and just point it quickly. Go ahead, Rick.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, let's not forget, he's a young guy that's still learning how to play at the NHL level. So the way he's responded and the type of game that he's bringing each and every night, you got to like what you're seeing moving forward. And there's no reason why to think that he wouldn't be part of the future of the Montreal Canadiens so far.
Yeah, and
Let's wrap up. To bring up Andrew's point about him scoring 20 goals. Well, that's it. And Andrew made the point about him scoring 20 goals. Remember Gilbert Dion, when he came up with the Montreal Canadiens years ago, 21 goals, 13 assists. You never know. Rafaël Harvey-Pinard could be that type of player of an impact early on in his career next season. Well, that'll do for this bonus episode of Hockey Inside Out. Don't forget to submit your questions and comments. We look forward to conversing about that on a future episode. And like and subscribe on our YouTube page for Hockey Inside Out, and sign up for the newsletters at MontrealGazette.com/newsletters. Full episodes and bonus content, head on by Hockey Inside Out. Check out the full listings that we have all through the course of this season. On behalf of Stu, Rick, and Andrew, we wish you a great week. We'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Yeah!